Major Page actually he recommended that he did a thorough presentation for you residents to actually see what we've been dealing with for the past week or so. Good.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. This is a brief presentation at the building located at 14425 Northeast 6th Ave. And I believe it's on the screens for you to follow along with us. You can see right here the building is 4 floors. It has 51 units. There are 79 code cases issued since 2010, and 45 of them are still open. They're unresolved at the building. There are also 16 open civil tickets. There are 13 running liens. That means the building went to the special magistrate. They were found guilty, and there are daily fines on 13 cases at the building for a total of over $1 million in existing fines. The city attorney's office has started foreclosure proceedings on the building. You can see here a brief history. In December 2014, some residents complained to the minimum housing unit, and there were 24 violations open, including life safety violations for fire extinguishers and emergency lighting. We attempted to meet with the building owner in the police department in January, but the owner did very little work at the building after our meeting. On February 4th, Minimum Housing brought the 17 still open violations from the 24 in front of the special magistrate, and the building was found guilty on all 17. You can see on the screen in front of you a brief list of the violations, which range from inoperable sinks to roof damage to fencing. And as they continue on the second screen, and then you can see here on the 16th, the mayor identified the building through his community outreach efforts. On the 20th, the mayor met with the city manager and code enforcement. On the 23rd, which was on Monday, we did a life safety inspection at the building, and we passed out flyers to all the residents saying we'd be back on the 24th to inspect every single unit and document every single issue inside so we can go to the building owner with every single violation. You can see some of the pictures from the 23rd when we were out there. Trash on the exterior of the building. You can see leaking pipes in the overhead from the parking garage. There are holes in the walls with exposed wiring and piping. Many of the faucets continuously drip, and residents place buckets underneath the faucets in the bathroom. You can see missing ceiling tiles, and on the picture on the right is where a water leak was above the apartment, and part of the ceiling had collapsed over the bathtub. You can see the kitchen area in one of the apartments and the inoperable sink in the bathroom. You see exposed wiring and lights hanging by wires and missing smoke detectors. Inoperable stoves, probably 80% of the stoves in the building did not work. The exit lights are hanging by wires, and the laundry room is in poor condition. The electrical boxes, when you open them, there are actually roaches inside the electrical boxes, and you can see another leaking faucet. Almost none of the faucets actually turned off inside the building. The elevator certificate of operation is from 2014, and there was trash items stored in the hallway. The garbage chute, the door is missing, and there was garbage piled up in the bottom of the chute, and that is the front wall, which was hit by a car several years ago and remains in the parking lot. Mayor, that's the end of our brief summary for the inspection. Our minimum housing officers are still compiling all these stats from today when we were out there, and hopefully sometime tomorrow we can give a full and complete summary to the city manager, and he can pass it out through the council. And that's good.
Commander Blanchard, do you have anything to add?
Just it's important that the council understands that we have reached out to the owner. We actually had him fly in from New York, met with him one-on-one, and despite our attempts to get him to cooperate with the city and to actually have him meet us on his own property and show him the violations firsthand, he refused. I don't believe this property owner is interested in working with the city to move forward and fix this issue.
I believe there's over $1 million in liens ongoing. The city attorney's office has already started the process through the mayor to actually.
Okay. Well, I'm urging all department heads, that are involved in this item to really take make this a real priority, because in our city we should not allow these kind of cases to go. I mean, this is disgusting, and if we're talking about the North Miami that needs to go forward, this should not exist in our city. So as part of my initiatives, I think we should go around and identify these buildings. These are not livable conditions, and you are only seeing the pictures, but if you actually go there and stand in the hallways, you have to actually hold your nose because you can barely breathe. The molds, you get into these apartments, and you can barely breathe. I mean, you're actually breathing the molds.
Yeah.
And we all know what kind of medical conditions these molds can actually cause.
Mr. Mayor, quick question.
Mhm.
So, in our code, we not consider that as unsafe
Yeah.
to leave
Yeah, we
there?
have
Right.
tomorrow actually we're going to be out there with the fire department. We have already called the health department and the fire department to meet with us. I'm meeting out there with the building official tomorrow to see what we could do to get the building declared,
Oh.
if it can be. Because there's only two people, actually two entities. The building official can declare it unsafe, or the fire department.
All right. Thank you, officers.
To,
Thank you.
to the mayor, can you give us an update about the foreclosure when you start and the process and how long it's gonna take since you initiate the process?
Yes, because of the tremendous amount of fines, over $1 million, our office has initiated foreclosure back in late 2014. The owner does have a lawyer, and they are currently defending the foreclosure, but we will continue to push forward. We are in discovery right now. In terms of the length of time, you know, a typical foreclosure, when a owner does not defend, can take 6 months, 8 months, you know, depending on the backlog in the court system. But where you have an owner that's defending, it can probably take a year or more, realistically.
Can I ask a question? Is there any equity in the property, the mortgage versus the value of the building?
Yeah, there is certainly equity.
Then we should absolutely be going forward.
We have filed a foreclosure. We have filed a foreclosure complaint. We have filed
What
discovery.
date was it when you filed the foreclosure?
It was, I believe, November or December 2014. I think. Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
I
Mayor,
think
may
it's
I?
November.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Almost exactly a year ago, Mayor Tondro and I think Councilwoman Keys also toured some exactly the same disgusting apartment buildings on Northeast 125th Street, right next to Bryan Elementary School.
Yeah, that's true.
We were aghast. It was exactly like we've just seen here.
Similarly, yes.
Obviously, the city got distracted a year ago with the Mocha lawsuit and Mayor Tondro leaving office and other things. We really need to come back with a concerted plan to address this citywide. I thank you, Mr. Mayor, for taking the initiative. I know that we went as far as finding a dedicated phone line here at City Hall that we could then give to residents to call in with their complaints, because many times they don't want to be on record
Correct.
with their complaints. They don't know where to turn. They don't know who's involved. We need to come back with a really organized plan, from how that phone line would be manned and how the phone calls would be handled, to how we would distribute the number, to how we're going to send officials out building by building. We'd started the monthly sweeps with teams from the county and from the city and from the fire. We need to come back to that. If we need to have a workshop to discuss it, we should. But this kind of, it's more than substandard housing. It's subhuman housing.
Subhuman.
And we really, it's not just one or two buildings. We've got dozens of them in the city. We really have to find a way to address it.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think one of the avenues we looked at was having a landlord-tenant registration ordinance. And if you recall, the landlords came here in droves and were outraged that the council would consider passing such an ordinance. I don't know whether you want to address that again and look at that, because one of the reasons that the landlords were so afraid of such an ordinance is that the landlord would have to apply for a permit or license. And if they violated the code by the failures that we've been looking at, then we would not allow them to have that permit or the license, and then they would be violating the ordinance, which just kind of give us more teeth in that they cannot then relet an apartment if they're in violation of that particular ordinance. So, that's something that we can
Yeah.
look at again, or maybe not, or, just
I'd
depends
be
on the will
willing
of the
to,
council.
except I remember some of the logistical problems were that we didn't have anywhere near the manpower to go out and inspect on an annual basis every single apartment unit within the city to make sure it was, not, because obviously the apartment building owners would be on their honor to let us know when one lease expired and a new one began. And if we didn't have somebody out there to inspect, we'd never know that they stopped with one and started with another.
Right.
So there were pros
Yeah.
and cons to that.
Yeah, well, for that issue, I think we determined that it was going to be annual. So it wasn't going to be based on when one apartment was empty due to a tenant moving out. It was going to be just an annual inspection. But yes, there certainly was an issue of manpower. How do you annually inspect each apartment and each unit? But
I agree with the mayor. We have to find something. We have to come up with some plan. I remember years ago we shut down the apartment building exactly to the north of the Publix on Northeast 6th Avenue, but then we were responsible for the cost of relocating all of those
Relocation.
tenants.
That's one of the
So,
issue.
yeah, there are a lot of issues. It's not an easy thing to solve, but I think we need to bring, now that things have settled in the city, we need to move it back to the
Right.
front burner.
Yeah, and
I noticed that building we did the sweep next to Brian, that just changed hands. So my question is, I'm sure they had to get reoccupancy, but did they pay all their liens? And, I haven't followed up with that, but I did notice that it's changed hands. So we should look into it, make sure all our liens were paid.
Okay.
Do you know if they were?
I'm not sure.
I mean,
I'll
they
look
should
at
have,
that.
we should have gotten an estoppel letter. I'm sure there was a lot of violations on that property, so let's check that.
Thank you very much. As a conclusion to my reports, is just an invitation to everyone to the business luncheon that I'm sponsoring this Friday from 12 to 2 at Mocha Cafe. This is an opportunity for you to learn the opportunities that we are offering as a city to small businesses, and also how you can actually benefit from the downtown redevelopment project. We are going to have a very comprehensive presentation by our director of CPND, as well as Mr. Joseph Dennis, the economic development manager.
man.
And I really encourage you to please attend, and see you there on Friday. Next.
Yes, thank you. One, I'd like to thank Representative Campbell for bringing to our attention the money available for our seniors. We've lost a lot of funding for hot meals, so I know we've taken advantage. We voted on it tonight to try to get all the money we could to help supplement so we can feed our senior citizens. So thank you for keeping us in mind there. Thank you. Tomorrow, the North Miami Chamber of Commerce is having its luncheon at Miami Shores Country Club at noon. We have oceanographer Evan Ford. He's a Miami native, and he is an oceanographer specializing in marine geology and geophysics, and he will be speaking to us on, I believe, the global warming and the rising tide. I understand he's quite an expert. So, Mr. Tonkin, please come to lunch tomorrow. I think you'll find it very interesting. And also tomorrow we're going to be honoring our Officer of the Month, Officer Ramon de Jesus. So he'll be there tomorrow. And lastly, just want to point out we do need, I'm begging our police more visibility, more traffic stops. We had another accident this morning at 123rd Street, the Broad Causeway toll going east. We had an 8-car accident a couple months ago. My constituent told me that we had another one today. We need more visibility for police. Every neighborhood, everywhere, everyone we talk to, the speeding is rampant in our city. Everybody wants a police stationed at a certain block. I know we can't always do it, but let's move around. Let's have some police. Let's write some tickets and get people ready for our new lower speed limits. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I want to jump on that and say thank you to the North Miami Police Department. I was at a community meeting at Bryan Elementary School a couple of weeks ago where folks were railing about the speeding on Northeast 16th Avenue. I literally texted the chief from that meeting. He responded. Units were on the street, have been on the street continuously since then. The mobile speeding sign with that fun little red and blue flashing thing that's on the bottom of it now, when you go above the speed, like you think there's a cop because it starts flashing red and blue at you. Folks immediately slow down. I'm now getting complaints that people are getting tickets for speeding on Northeast 16th Avenue.
Yes.
So I want to say thank
What do you
you.
wanna do about it,
Yeah,
Scott?
exactly. No, I just say thank you. You were prompt in your response. Literally, while I was in the meeting, I got to tell the people before the meeting adjourned, police will be there tomorrow, don't speed. And literally, your officers were there, have continued to be there now in the 10 to 14 days since then. And, you know, even I'm now creeping along at 23 miles an hour to make sure I don't get anywhere near 30. So thank you, Chief.
Right. Madam Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. I think a couple of council meeting ago that we actually voted to increase the fees of the community centers. Did we actually
Yeah,
voted
the
on it?
rates, I think there was a vote on the rates, and there were two sections that we pulled. Yes.
Okay. I know at least two people approached me and talked to me about we just increasing the fees on our constituent using their own community center, but yet again we're waiving $16,000 to $20,000 for another facilities outside the city. So this is something for us to take into consideration. If you're gonna give them a waiver, we might as well just vote back on put the fees back, because we cannot make our constituent paying more money when we're giving freebies to others. I have nothing against the charter school. Actually, I am supporting. I know that you, when you talk to me, you recommend to 50% a 50% deduction instead of giving them the entire waiver.
that's
So this is something that we can talk the next council
Right.
meeting. I'm just mentioning it in case if you didn't mention it to
No, I
the
haven't,
other
and
council members, which I
Yeah.
think is a good idea.
yeah, and I think true to all the council members, it's been since I've been the city manager. As long as there's an entity that is public entity that is serving the community for any event, it's carte blanche across the board. I recommend, and I waive it 50% within my jurisdiction as the city manager.
Good, I don't have a problem. I just want to remind us that we just voted to increase the fees for our own constituent to pay more money to use their own facilities, and yet again we're giving $20,000 away. So just.
The item is coming back. At the
Yeah,
next
I'm just saying. But anyways, I really want to us to address because we just saying that our neighbors, which is the city in North Miami Shore, that we have to take them in consideration to partner with them to help them. But I considered, is it Biskin Park or Biskin Garden? Which one? Park is a neighbors as well. I know at the beginning when I talked to Tanya and yourself regarding the annexation, I know that we were going forward. But right now, what I'm hearing from the county, if either one of us does not come with an agreement, they're not going to address it at all.
Right, that's correct.
So as a good neighbor, I would rather us, since we know that the shape that they are, economically shaped that they are now, they have no businesses at all, instead of us, like, if I don't have it, you don't have to have it as well. And there's a story in the Bible. I don't want to go and bite the apple, but I'm not going there. So I hope that you guys remember the mother when the King Solomon says, okay, which one of you is the parent, is the mother of the kid? And you know what, I'm going to cut the kid in half. And the real mom says, please give it away. So I want to be a good mother tonight, and says, please, let's take into consideration if the county will drop the application if we don't come to an agreement. Instead of drop it, I would rather sit down to see what can we give it to them, what can we give to them, and what can we receive from them, instead of just drop it up all at once. So I don't know if it's something that we want to take into
Mr. Mayor, may I?
consideration.
Yeah.
Since it's not on the agenda tonight, may I ask that we ask the
Put in-
county to continue the item at their March whatever meeting it is, so that we can have a chance to discuss this further? I actually agree with the councilwoman. We're a city of plenty right now when it comes to commercial areas. High Biscayne Landing.
Yeah,
Biscayne Park has nothing. I've said on the record before, just give it to them. I
So
don't
let's
care.
make a motion and give it to
But-
them. Let's make
But
a motion
no.
and do
But
it.
because it's not on the agenda tonight, I don't think it's fair. I'm already hearing the cat calls from the back of the room. They
Not
don't
gonna
agree with
change.
me. Hi, cats. I think it's fair that we have the discussion, that we put it on an agenda, and that we bring it back for an actual advertised vote. I know where I feel that we should be, but if we ask the county to continue it an extra month, I think they would.
Okay, that's fine
Thank
with me. I've just put it in the next agenda. At least we can discuss
No, but
it. openly.
we should discuss that because from what I understand from the county, the application that is before the county is not complete. That's when it's an incomplete application.
Which
As of right
application?
now, they're waiting for a petition that they haven't provided as of right now. If we
talking
said we're
about
gonna let
us?
them have it, and when they have an incomplete application at the county, we consider that before we pull out our application.
But we're not going to discuss it now.
I
We're going to
think
talk
No,
about
I'm
the city
discussing
attorney.
the item. I
Yeah,
think the
but we want to
petition-
make sure that the application before the county is complete. And you got to tell us why we put our application and months before when they put the application about 8 months later and they still haven't discussed about our application. Then when all this information for us
Sure,
and
it will be on the next agenda.
council. And I want to invite.
That was my council report.
Oh, you haven't finished yet.
I'm done.
I want to invite the homeowners from District 3 for Friday, this Friday at 7 p.m. at Griffin Park, Griffin Center. We're going to have a home beautification update since, 800,000 was allocated to fix about 80 to 86 property in District 3. And 86 people have been approved. And right now we want to not only talk to them and give them an update when we're going to start. And staff, CPND, going to give us an update when.
Yeah,
and
CPND
with
staff will be
everything.
there as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
and purchasing and tell us at where we at and when we're gonna start, and then exploring other fund to see if we can extend the program to other residents in the district. And that conclude my presentation. It's Friday night, 7 p.m. at Griffin Center. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The last announcement that I do have, actually, I was going to forget. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. On March 5th, there is a scheduled induction ceremony for the Hall of Fame. We remember we passed a resolution last meeting for Mr. Nelson Voltaire, aka P. Mabuk, as well as Bishop Victor T. Curry, on March 5th at 11:30 here in this council chamber. You are all invited. Please come, and there will be a small reception that follows afterward. With this, we conclude. And
You still have the clerk and
the clerk and the Madam Attorney and Mr. Manager report. And
Okay, briefly, the resolution was passed today. We do in fact have North Miami elections. The qualifying period for the upcoming elections is between March 30th, 2015 through April 7th, 2015 at 12 noon. If an individual would like to be a candidate, you would have to submit the qualifying documents, including the qualifying check, by noon, April 7th, 2015. Again, by noon of April 7th, 2015. Election dates will be held for any regular election. The upcoming regular election will be held May 12th, 2015. In the event that we were to have a runoff, any potential runoffs will be held June 2nd, 2015. For those who don't know, I am on the ballot, so therefore I am recusing myself. So my deputy clerk, Stephanie Thomas, she will act as the supervisor of election for this election cycle, and she will be assisted by our record manager supervisor, Louis Teleska, and Penny and the Department of Elections have already been informed. Last but not least, I'm a big environmentalist. I appreciate Mr. Tunkin's aggression in terms of informing the public as to the water rising issues we do have here in South Florida. It got to a point where a lot of people are considering relocating to Georgia and Central Florida because water, unfortunately, global warming is causing the the earth to warm up, and the ice caps are melting, and water is rising. And so I want to thank Mr. Tunkin for allowing the city clerk office to display this plant
City
at
clerk?
the clerk's office. That's
Where's
correct.
that?
When did he give it to you?
This is my report, guys. Don't get jealous. Don't
You
get
can
jealous.
just go into District
He
3, you're
said
gonna
this is
see a
a
lot,
gift.
right?
No, wait. Don't
He
forget.
said this is a gift for you
right,
guys.
the city clerk office see on an average 65 individuals daily. So Mr. Tunkin want the public to see it. So he would like me to display it at the clerk's office. If you guys don't get jealous, Mayor and Council, more people come to our office. So I want to thank you. It will be displayed at the clerk's office. And hopefully we can all take it very seriously and become little environmentalists ourselves. That concludes my report, guys. Thank you. Thank you again.
Madam Attorney?
Yes, I take it tonight is code enforcement night, so I just have some updates with respect to where we are with the foreclosure matters. We have filed 5 foreclosure actions. We've already been successful in obtaining a consent for a property to be deeded to the city, and that's 975 Northwest 132 Street. We've also been successful in obtaining an injunction for the property of 560 Northwest 126 to remove the debris from that property, and the nuisance abatement board has ordered a property to be demolished, and that's 1835 Alamanda. I will continue to update you as we have more successes. Thank you.
Thank you. While we're on code enforcement, through the mayor, we have continued on the building inspection sweeps. Actually, it's just one of the buildings we did today that is in really bad condition. But I have in front of me all the reports. We have continued the bi-weekly sweeps, which you're talking about. 124 Northeast 16th Avenue, 16 violations. That's and 7 fire violations, 128 90 Northeast 6th Avenue, and we could go on and on. That's the month of February. March we did, so I have the list here of all the properties, and we continue to do it. The only thing I would say is that in January we did not do the sweep. We started again this month, the month of February, to continue to do the bi-monthly sweeps with all the agencies. The two things, last Wednesday I was invited to the Real Estate Impact Conference by which was hosted by University of Miami. Guest speaker was most of the developers, and Mr. Richard Lafrac was one of the keynote speakers. Your Biscayne Landings project was mentioned several times. I believe it made the article in the Miami Herald, where most of the developers are actually talking about development along the Biscayne Boulevard corridor. The Biscayne Landings project again came up, with a lot of limelight or a lot of spotlight on it. And Mr. Lafrac actually presented a good, presentation on both the residential and the commercial, proposed conceptual plan that is planned for the Biscayne Landing site. The other point I want to bring up is the residential parcel agreement for the said property was signed February 13th, and distribution of copies to each one. One of the important things too is that the comp plan amendment. This is a statutory requirement on the city, and I want to emphasize, this is the time as mayor and council, if you want to shape the direction of the city, we are here, and it is important that each one of you actually, I'm requesting, attend this meeting organized by the Community Planning Department, because over the next 5 to 7 years, what is decided here in our comp plan amendment is going to reshape the direction of development or economic development in the city. With that, thank you. This Thursday,
When?
the comp plan amendment meeting
That's going to be at the Joe Celestine?
at the Joe Celestine this Thursday afternoon.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Just one minute.
It's early.
Yeah, it's early. I asked during my console report last 2 weeks ago, and updates for park, for the parks in my district, and staff did not present it. But so please present an update because I know some of my constituents are
I
not here.
apologize.
That did no, it's okay. I'm just giving you, reminding you about it. And another thing, when we have citizens forum, they come up and ask question, but we don't have a conversation back and forth with them. And I'm assuming that they're expecting an answer.
An answer, yes.
Yeah.
we-
So next time, if the constituent come and ask question in your report, please answer their concern.
I will.
Thank you.
Good point. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, meeting is adjourned. See you on March 12th. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.